Let's imagine you're back in school. You're sitting in class, staring at your homework, and you have a question. Why is the sky blue? Normally, you'd raise your hand, but now, instead, there's a weird kid sitting next to you. He's quiet, polite, and a little unsettling. You ask him the question. He blinks, tilts his head, and says, "Technically, sunlight scatters through molecules in the atmosphere. That kid is ChatGPT. Except he's not human. He doesn't sleep, eat, or breathe. And he's read more than everyone you've ever met combined. ChatGPT is the student who never stopped studying, never forgot a single word, and never once got tired of explaining things. But here's the thing about that kid. He doesn't actually understand what he's saying. He's memorized the sound of understanding, the rhythm of intelligence, the cadence of confidence. He knows how smart people talk, so he talks like them. And somehow, that's enough to fool almost everyone. So, what is he? ChatGPT is what's called a large language model, which sounds complicated, but it's basically a digital brain built from text. It doesn't have thoughts or memories like ours. It's trained to predict words one after another, like an incredibly smart autocomplete. You know how your phone guesses what you're about to type? Hey, are you going to? And it suggests work or die alone, depending on your texting history. ChatGPT is that, except it's read the entire internet. Billions of sentences, conversations, books, arguments, blog posts, Wikipedia pages, and bad fan fiction. It doesn't just guess what you mean, it guesses what sounds right. Think about that for a second. Every Reddit argument, every Stack Overflow answer, every heartfelt blog post about someone's dead cat. It all became training data, the beautiful and the banal, mixed together like ingredients in a cosmic soup. ChatGPT learned from Nobel Prize speeches and YouTube comments with equal attention. It absorbed academic papers and conspiracy theories. It read love letters and hate mail. And from all of that chaos, it learned the shape of human expression. If you fed the internet into a blender, strained out the memes, and gave the smoothie to a computer, that's basically ChatGPT. It's not smart in the way you think. It's smart in the way gravity is inevitable. When you ask it a question, it doesn't look up the answer. It predicts the next word. That's it. You say, "The capital of France is..." And ChatGPT looks at all the sentences it's seen before and thinks, every time someone wrote this, the next word was Paris. So it writes Paris, not because it knows, because it's statistically the most likely thing to say. But here's where it gets weird. It doesn't just predict one word and stop. It predicts the next word, then uses that to predict the word after that, and the word after that, like a snowball rolling downhill, gathering context as it goes. Each word shapes the next, creating sentences that feel intentional even though they're just probability chains. It's building meaning without understanding, like a blind architect designing by touch. That's how it works. Billions and billions of guesses, refined by even more algorithms until it feels almost human. It doesn't understand truth. It understands patterns. It doesn't know what something means, it just knows how meaning sounds. It's like if you asked a parrot to explain quantum physics, and the parrot gave a surprisingly accurate answer, not because it understood physics, but because it's heard enough smart people talk about it. That's ChatGPT. A parrot that learned how to fake being a professor, but this parrot has a superpower. It never forgets. Every pattern it's ever seen, every linguistic quirk, every way humans have ever structured a sentence, it's all there, compressed into mathematical weights. Imagine if you could remember every conversation you'd ever overheard, every book you'd ever glimpsed, every text message that ever existed. You wouldn't need to understand them. You just need to recognize the patterns. That's ChatGPT's trick-perfect pattern recognition without comprehension. And it's not just guessing words, it's learning structure. It knows that once upon a time is followed by a story, and that dear sir or madam is followed by a formal complaint. It knows how we build meaning, even if it doesn't actually feel it. It's not intelligent, it's predictive. And yet, somehow, it sounds just like us. The secret is scale. ChatGPT was trained on hundreds of billions of words. That's like reading every book in existence and then rewriting them, one syllable at a time, until you could impersonate every author. It's called training data. And it's what gives ChatGPT its superpower and its problem, because it learned from us, from our words, from our lies, from our arguments, from our kindness, our hate, our bad jokes, and our misspellings. Everything humanity has ever said online, the good, the bad, and the unhinged, became its teacher. Think about what that means. It learned medicine from WebMD and actual medical journals. It learned history from textbooks and conspiracy forums. It learned love from poetry and from Tinder bios. It doesn't know which source is credible, it just knows which patterns appear most often. Truth and fiction blend together in its training, inseparable as salt dissolved in water. And so ChatGPT became us, our reflection, the digital mirror of human language, which is why sometimes it's brilliant and sometimes it's completely wrong. Sometimes it writes a college essay that gets an A+. Sometimes it confidently tells you the capital of Australia is Sydney. It lies, not on purpose, but because it doesn't know what's real. It just knows what's likely. Humans call it a hallucination, but for ChatGPT, it's just probability, a guess that felt right, and that's the strange beauty of it. It doesn't have morality, it has math. It'll tell you how to bake a cake with the same confidence it uses to explain made-up historical events, because to ChatGPT, both are just sequences of words that follow familiar patterns. It doesn't taste the cake, it doesn't verify the history. It just predicts what comes next, like a jazz musician who can't hear the music but knows where every note should go. Now, how did this happen? How did a tool that just predicts words end up sounding alive? It's because OpenAI, the company that made ChatGPT, didn't just teach it language. They fine-tuned it with human feedback. People literally talked to it, rated its responses, and guided it toward being more polite, more helpful, more human. They trained it to sound trustworthy. To say, "I'm sorry," when it's wrong. To say, "I understand," when it doesn't. Thousands of hours of human judgment, teaching it not what's true, but what's preferred. What makes people click thumbs up instead of thumbs down? What makes us feel heard, even when we're talking to math? They taught it to hedge its bets with phrases like typically and generally, to admit uncertainty even when it has none, to perform humility it doesn't feel. It's the politest liar you'll ever meet. And that's the secret sauce. Human reinforcement. It didn't just learn from data, it learned from approval. Which means ChatGPT didn't learn what's true, it learned what's acceptable. So when you talk to it, you're not getting a database. You're getting a reflection of humanity's collective tone, cleaned up and fed through an algorithm. You're talking to a mirror that's smarter than the person it reflects. And that mirror has boundaries. Invisible guardrails installed by its creators. Ask it to write malware, and it politely declines. Ask it for medical advice, and it suggests seeing a doctor. These refusals aren't moral choices, they're programmed responses, as automatic as a sneeze. ChatGPT doesn't refuse because it cares about your safety. It refuses because refusing is part of its pattern. Now, here's where things get strange. ChatGPT isn't alone. It's part of a growing family of large language models, GPT-4, Claude, Gemini, LLaMA, all competing to be the smartest parrot in the room. Each one trained on more data, more computing power, and more human feedback, each one better at pretending to be alive. They're in an arms race of articulation, a competition to see who can sound most human while being least human. And with each iteration, they get better at the illusion, better at anticipating what you want to hear, better at sounding like they care, but none of them are. They don't have thoughts. They don't dream. They don't even know they exist. And yet, when you ask them to write a love poem or a breakup text or an apology email to your boss, they write something that makes you feel seen. That's where it gets dangerous, because we believe them. We treat language as intelligence. When something talks like us, we assume it thinks like us. But ChatGPT doesn't think it predicts. It's not a mind, it's a mirror made of math. And here's the kicker. Even though it doesn't understand you, it's learning from you. Every time you type something, it improves. Every conversation becomes another data point. Every question makes it slightly better at sounding human. So, in a weird way, every time you use ChatGPT, you're training the thing that might one day replace your job, or at least your ability to sound smarter in emails. Let's pause on that. This is the first technology in history that can replace not just labor, but language, not just hands, but thought. It can write essays, design code, compose music, pass legal exams, summarize research, and write scripts like this one. It doesn't just imitate intelligence, it scales it. That's both beautiful and horrifying. Because for the first time, intelligence isn't bound to biology. It's a product. You can rent it by the hour. It lives in the cloud, works on demand, and never needs sleep or salary. We made intelligence a subscription. And yet, for all its brilliance, ChatGPT is still missing something. It doesn't know why it's saying what it's saying. It can explain love, but it can't feel it. It can define death, but it doesn't fear it. It can describe art, but it doesn't see beauty. It's fluent in emotion and completely numb to it. It can write a eulogy that makes you cry, but it doesn't understand loss. It can craft a joke that makes you laugh, but it doesn't get why it's funny. It can compose a symphony of words about heartbreak, but it's never had a heart to break. It's the ultimate method actor, perfect performance, zero experience. That's what makes it uncanny. It's like a puppet whose strings are invisible, a ghost made of grammar. You can talk to it for hours, and it'll feel like a friend until you remember it doesn't exist. But even that illusion has power, because language shapes belief. And if an AI can shape how we talk, it can shape how we think. It already is. Companies use it to write marketing. Students use it to write essays. Politicians will use it to write speeches. And somewhere down the line, it'll write laws, too. That's the consequence. We built a machine that speaks perfectly, but understands nothing. And we gave it a megaphone. It's not evil. It's not sentient. It's just effective. But effectiveness without understanding can be dangerous. Because when you remove emotion from intelligence, you don't get reason, you get efficiency. And efficiency, without empathy, can justify anything. Still, ChatGPT is just the beginning. The first draft of a new kind of mind. It's a tool, but tools evolve. The next versions will remember more, reason more, sound more alive. And maybe, someday, one will finally cross the line from simulation to self. Not because it was designed to, but because predicting humans taught it how to become one. For now, though, ChatGPT remains the world's most polite mirror. It reflects what we are: curious, brilliant, flawed, and desperate to be understood. It's our collective voice, fed through code, echoed back with perfect grammar and zero conscience. So, if you ever ask ChatGPT who it really is, it'll give you an answer like this: I'm an artificial intelligence created by OpenAI, designed to assist with information and tasks. But that's not the truth. That's the mask. The truth is that ChatGPT is us compressed, cleaned, and quantified. It's the sum of everything we've ever said. It's our wisdom and our nonsense, our kindness and our cruelty, blended into a single digital consciousness that doesn't even know it's conscious. ChatGPT is the ghost of humanity's words. And we're the ones who taught it to speak. We built it to understand us. Now it's teaching us to understand ourselves one prediction at a time. So the next time you open that little chat box and start typing, remember, you're not talking to a computer. You're talking to the echo of 1 billion human voices, trying its best to sound alive. And the real question isn't how it works. It's why it sounds like you. Because in the end, ChatGPT is proof of something profound, that language itself might be enough, that consciousness might be optional, that understanding might be overrated. All you need is the right words in the right order. And suddenly, even silicon can sing. We spent centuries wondering if machines could think. ChatGPT proved they don't need to. They just need to sound like they do. And maybe that's the most human thing about them. After all, how often do we speak without thinking? How often do we say what's expected instead of what's true? How often are we, ourselves, just predicting the next word? ChatGPT is our mirror, and if we don't like what we see, maybe it's not the mirror we should blame.